Welcome everyone to our regular Tuesday session where we talk about all things trekking in Nepal. My name is Michelle Hill, and joining me as usual is Dinesh Karki, and I will get Dinesh to introduce himself shortly, and then after that we will be talking about today's topic, which is Everest Base Camp, and what did I call it? Quick climb versus scenic journey. So the type of things we're going to talk about today are what are the pros and cons of trying to do this trek like in a shortest period of time as possible versus adding on a few more days so that it just changes the perspective of the trek and there's less. I don't think rushing is the right word, because when I did my trek, I did the 14-day one, and we had a couple of days in Kathmandu at the start and then one at the end. But yeah, anyway, I digress. We'll start talking about the topic in a moment. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Hill, and I am a business and travel coach. And I first fell in love with Nepal 8.5 years ago when I got on a plane from Australia and landed in Kathmandu, all set to trek to Everest Base Camp. And along the way, realized I had no idea what I was getting myself in for. It was actually one of the hardest things that I'd ever done in my life, but it was also the most rewarding and exhilarating. And really, for me, if I had to pick a point where my personal development journey really kicked into gear, that would be it. And I got so much out of that first trip that then I returned to Nepal a couple of years later and did an Annapurna circuit, which again, very different type of trek, but and still just as hard. But yeah, for me, totally rewarding. And then over the last, 6 or 8, or it's coming up for nearly 12 months, Dinesh and I have been talking about creating our own trip and having different styles of trips. And we decided that having an information session once a week would really help people to answer the questions they might have before they come to Nepal. And that whilst it can be something that you think, oh my God, can I really do this? Having the opportunity to hear from people who've already done it, and also from somebody like Dinesh, is amazing. So with that said, I'll now hand you over to Dinesh for him to introduce himself, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Good morning, namaste, and thank you, Michelle. And this is Dinesh Karki, mountain guide from Nepal and the owner of Nature Explore Trek. And guiding, before I being like guiding and standing now in this position, I have been accomplished many different steps as porter, assistant guide, cooks from like last couple of decades already. And I've been guiding like all over the Nepal's, Annapurna, Everest, Kansa, all over the like popular destination in Nepal. And after like a long experience with one of the other guide team, we are decided to have our own company since 2015. We've been running already almost 9 years now, and we're a new year in 2024. So during this our journey, we have been giving the service to more than like 500-600 people through our one company, and we have like a good feedbacks and everything whatever belongs to the Nature Explore Trek. And we are not only organize a trek in Nepal, we also organize a trip in Tibet, especially in the west part of the Tibet, where the popular Mount Kailash is located, and also in the India and Bhutan, many more. Yes, me and Michelle, we meet in 2015 in Kathmandu when she was our first trip to Everest Base Camp, since we're like a friend. And yeah, if I'm telling even a little bit more myself, so I have been also traveled to other countries like West Europe and some, not in Australia still, but Japan, Korea, and not US, but still some quite good experience. And I've been lucky to trekking in the Alps when I was in Europe in 2014 and 16, and this is my journey. So I'm very glad and what I'm working and I love my job. And yeah, so I will share more in next meeting. So for my about myself, I will be stopped now for this.
Okay, thank you, Dinesh. So as I said, today what we're exploring is when you do decide to trek to Everest Base Camp, like what is going to be the best style of trek for you, and the standard offering that many different companies offer and that Nature Explore Trek offer is a 14-day trek, which actually works out to be 11 days from the time you fly into Lukla to the time you fly out. And I know Dinesh has one trip already set up for April the 6th this year. So there's still spaces on that one. So perhaps, Dinesh, if you could just run through for us like what this standard itinerary looks like and what some of the pros and cons might be of spending that 11 days getting from Lukla up to Everest Base Camp and then back again.
Yeah, thank you for the questions. Yes, the Everest is the oldest, biggest mountain in the world, and everyone have a bucket list to trek in there, at least in the base camp, and who have like experience about and dreaming to climb the mountains after collecting so many skills in small mountains, and everyone also most of people love to also climb the mountains. Yeah, let's see. If I'm saying if we compare like a faster, quicker itinerary versus like luxury itinerary. So let's talk from the fastest long itinerary. So as Michelle said, we have already set the trip for April 6 to 17. That itinerary just it doesn't like spend many days in Kathmandu after you arrive. We just list, for example, you arrive the day and then next day we set off to your trip to Lukla, fly to Lukla, and then you will continue regularly. You will trek to like all the like same places, not like we're not jumping, we're not crossing like camp. We stay in the regular places, but we will spend less acclimatizations at your timetable. We just want to make it and all the way to the base camp. Okay.
Yeah.
So for once you land in Lukla, then you will trek to Phakding and Namche, and everyone need to compulsory to have acclimatization in Namche because of as we're trekking to Everest Base Camp, 5,364 meter. So one more day we'll step in Namche for acclimatize. At that day we go for short view to the Everest View Hotel for the panoramic view of Mount Everest, including like many other mountains. And then we will continue our trekking to Tangbuche Monastery, which is the oldest and biggest monastery in the Khumbu Valley. And then we trek to Dingbuche, and then from Dingbuche we'll trek to Lobuche, and then after Lobuche, final stretch out to our base camp. And next morning we will climb to Kalapathar viewpoint, 5,500 meter. It is their highest sections and high altitude of this trek. And after exploring this view, you will trekking back down to Feriche, Namche, and Lukla, and then finally you will fly back to Kathmandu. What I'm saying is when you have a quicker itinerary as your time from, you will just trek regularly, okay? So you're not spending like a couple of days in somewhere place, whatever you, maybe, for example, if you want to spend in some extra night in somewhere nice, beautiful place.
Yeah,
so
can
I
just ask a question there? So on the way up, there's actually 2 rest days, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
When we do the luxury and longer itinerary, on the
Yeah.
way off, we do two stops
Right.
in Namche and Dingbuche.
Yeah.
In
And then
short itinerary, we just do the one because of as people training table.
Yeah. And then on the way back, it's only like what 3 days back to Lukla, not
Yes.
Yeah. So and I guess yeah, I'm remembering like when I did my trek, yeah, it seemed like a long time, and then we finally got to base camp. And then from there, yeah, it was only 3 days back to Lukla. And not that I felt rushed, but it just felt, like that the going back was a lot quicker than getting there. Obviously, you're going downhill instead of uphill. But I did find that for me, even though I was using poles, by the time we got back to Lukla and then Kathmandu, my knees were so sore and swollen that, yeah, in hindsight, had I known that was going to happen for me, I probably would have said, hey, where's an itinerary where we can take a little bit more time. It wasn't like I damaged my knees permanently, but I did end up having to go for a couple of really good stretch massages and really get my legs massaged to get rid of the swelling and the soreness. So, and it does come down to, as Dinesh said, how much time you have available. And for me personally, what I would say is, if this is a bucket list item for you and you've been dreaming of doing this for a long time, please don't try and cram it into a short trip, because if you can just take a little bit longer, the whole experience for you is going to be just that little bit better. And again, that's my perspective. But perhaps you could tell us what we've done. We have another lovely lady in Australia who wants to come at the end of November this year, and she has specifically said she doesn't want to rush. She wants the time to take photos. She wants to actually really experience this trip. Now, the itinerary you've created for her is 3 days longer, Dinesh, is that
Yes,
correct?
3 days longer. This is called like a luxurious and comfortable itinerary. Like those people who have enough time to explore in every region. We're not in the short time in Nepal. So
Yeah,
we make like a little longer itinerary. And in this itinerary, you will have many choice. That means you can go slowly to get, instead of 8 days, it might take 9 days to get in Everest Base Camp. And then when you're coming down from after the base camp, instead of 3 days, you can take like 6 days or five
yeah,
days because of you don't need to walk like all the way to like 6-7 hours. Instead of 6-7 hours, you can make like a 4 hours walk and then stop in somewhere. And
yeah,
then when you have like extra time, extra like a flexible itinerary, so sometime you might want to stay in some nice place for extra, like we are very flexible, so we're not
yeah,
saying like you do this, right?
yeah,
So that means you can spend your beautiful days in somewhere nice town of Sherpa Village with
yeah,
beautiful view. So that makes like little longer. That's why our like a November trip is 16 days. So which
yeah,
is very comfortable and flexible, and even see or that group want to stop somewhere in the nice Sherpa villages, they can stop. Even like if they want to spend like extra night in Namche when we coming down, they can do it. Like
yeah,
like when you have like many days, as Michelle explained already, it's always good time, more flexible. You have more time to know about culture, landscape, and nature of the Everest region.
yeah. So would taking an extra day to go up, does that help with possible altitude sickness? Like the slower that you go up, the better it is for you?
Yes, it help a lot because when you have comfortable itinerary and taking many dates, like instead of way quicker way, so
Mm,
definitely it helps a lot for altitude. It will adjust your like physical, it adjusts your altitude because of
yeah,
when you spend more time in mountain, that means you adjusting more altitude. So it
yeah,
a lot helps when you have an extra acclimatization day.
yeah. And also, like, what an option would also be, for somebody who's on a limited time, like to take your time getting up there, but then maybe come back by helicopter? Can you do
Yes.
that?
Yeah, if some people just want to get to base camp by walk and feeling like already enough for walk and want to, even if they have like short time, just for for example, they have 10 days time for trekking in Everest, but not enough to do whole coming down, right? Not
Yeah.
enough time for, then this, in this case, in alternative way, they can hire a helicopter from Everest Base Camp to Lukla or Kathmandu, the both.
Right.
That means
Okay.
they will skip like coming down. Those people who
Yeah.
don't have time. And also
Yeah.
we're not familiar to walk in the lower with knees and anything. So they can also do that options in alternative.
Okay. So you can organize all of this for people, can't you?
Yes, that's we have been doing last 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah, because I ended up coming up back by helicopter from Lukla back to Kathmandu, because when we got back to Lukla, it was totally fogged in. And then the next day, I think it was a Sunday, we were asked to be ready to leave in the morning, but they didn't know if there was any flights coming or not. And we sat around in the hotel for quite a few hours. And then we got a message saying that there was a group who were stuck in Kathmandu and they were hiring a helicopter to land further down the mountain so that they could then come up to Lukla and start their trek. So we were offered, instead of the helicopter going back empty, we were offered to buy a seat on this helicopter. And I think it was like $300 US or something. I can't remember the exact amount. So then we had to trek for an hour and a half, like down the mountain out of the fog to like this field further down. And the helicopter came and got us. And that was actually compared to flying on the plane and then going back in the helicopter was amazing because you're so much lower down and you see so much more. If people can afford it, that would be for me again a strong recommendation, because it really, as Dinesh said, gives you the opportunity to give your legs a rest, but also because you're low down, you actually get to see a lot of the countryside really, really well. So sorry, I've digressed back on my own stories again. So for anybody who's watching, yeah, we do have a date in April for the shorter trip, and we do have a date at the end of November for the longer trip. But that doesn't mean to say that if there's another date that you're looking at, that we can't organize a trip for you. And who knows, you might want to take longer, or you might want to do which is the lake that's up there? I can't pronounce it. Yoko, or Three High Passes, or you might like to, you might like to combine and have a longer trek that way, or you might like to just have a longer trip up to base camp. And I know, as I said, our client in November, one of the reasons she wants to take her time is that she is really, really interested. She's not a professional photographer, but she wants to take lots of photos and she wants to really feel like the whole journey. So if you think that that might be you and you can't find maybe an itinerary that suits on a website, the best thing to do is then to get in touch with us. Dinesh can work out an itinerary that specifically meets your needs. So we'll ask you a series of questions. What do you want? When do you want to come? Are there any issues or health issues that might mean you need to go slower, or you have to have something special, and then Dinesh can come up with an itinerary that specifically works for you. Because as I said before, if this is on your bucket list and you've been dreaming about this for a long time, then you want to make sure that you are really happy with the experience, you're comfortable with the people that you're going with, and you feel like that you can ask questions and they will help you before you get to Nepal as well, because that's an important part where if you haven't done this before, you want to be able to feel that you can reach out. And just remember, there is no such thing as a silly question. There are just questions. So we're always happy to answer any questions. And if you want to get together on a Zoom, Dinesh, myself, and you, and maybe you have 2 or 3 or 4 friends who want to come as well, and you have specific areas or specific things that you want to see and do, this is the way to do it. Anyway, that's probably enough from me. Dinesh, did you have anything else to add about any of, like the pros and cons, or any suggestions for people when they're looking at?
Not really. I guess we cover most of the highlighted. So as
Yeah.
you already explained, so if anyone interested for doing this trip, so we are always here. We are happy to guiding you, and any necessaries to set up your trip, we are ready to provide you all the full informations. This is like our short event, so we might not cover all whatever you need it, but
Yeah.
in the email, so we can send you. So don't forget to click ours or ask us. Yeah. So if we still
Yeah, we
like
have we
repeat
have
one more. Yeah, I just
sorry.
want to tell the last point.
Mm,
If you have like a time for like more than 2 weeks, do plan the luxurious itinerary. That luxury itinerary means taking more days instead of short days. If you have like a less than 2 weeks, just for example, 10 to 12 days in Nepal for Everest Base Camp trek, and but still you are dreaming to reach the Everest Base Camp, and you are physically and mentally fit, then plan the quicker also. I have experienced so many people also doing quicker as they have limited time and they are physically well fit. So for physically fit and mentally strong, they can do in 10 to 12 days trip. Actually 11 to 12 days. And those people who have a long time, like more than less than 3 weeks, more than 2 weeks, like 16, 17 days. So choose the as Michelle explained, like the longer itinerary, which will give you the beautiful experience of the Humbu and rewarded with the mountains view and Sherpa culture and landscapes. It's always around of you. So that
mm,
makes you like lifetime experience. So
mm.
that's what we need to tell you now. So if you anything, so you can ask us anytime.
Yeah. And I do like the idea of the itinerary. Once you start, the itinerary is a little bit flexible as well, particularly if you're in a smaller group and uh you do find somewhere where you want to spend a bit more time, or you think, okay, well, we'll just move on past this one, but we'll go to the next one because that'll be more interesting. Completely open to that as well. And next week, we haven't even figured out what we're talking about next week, have we?
Yeah.
Because we've done quite a few of these now where we've talked about what to pack, and different areas that you can trek in, and different times to come to Nepal. So as Dinesh said, in a short video like this, we can't cover all the topics, but we are trying to cover as many as possible. And if you're watching this and you have a specific question, or you have a topic that you would like us to talk about, please get in touch. So that's it for me this week. And Dinesh, I will see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Namaste.
Namaste. Bye for now.